Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Patch 11.2.5 recently kicked off with this major feature of Legion Remix as well as Turbulent Timeway, which is going to be getting a bit of a kick up come 21st of this month specifically, but it looks like patch 11.2.7, the next patch of WoW, the last one before midnight, is actually right around the corner. And recently Blizz came out with a blog post going over all the different features and details regarding what is going to be part of this update. As per usual, it is the final patch before our next major expansion, so it's going to be filled with a ton of catch-up content, especially if you're looking to level or gear a bunch of characters ahead of the midnight expansion. It's also going to have some unique new features like additional heritage sets, even more lore walking stories to look at, but also the return of Brawlers Guild, and the early preview for housing is planned to come out as of the patch 11.2.7, so you could actually own your home and be part of a neighborhood as early as potentially December the 2nd, which looks like but might actually be this patch's drop date. So for today's video, I want to take a closer look at everything that's coming out as part of the major features of the patch 11.2.7. As always, if you guys want to see more regular updates for either 11.2.7 Legion Remix content or Midnight Alpha, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So when going over the content of the patch 11.2.7, I'm going to go over the most exciting elements first and then get over all the other features little by little. I think the most exciting part for me of this patch is the Panda Heritage armor sets. This is something actually not an insignificant amount of players have been asking for a while. And the more heritage armors we get for a bunch of different race options, the better. Panda in particular were super interesting because there was a lot of cool opportunity for them to do something different this time around, you know, keep the whole Pandaria aesthetic, but since Panda can be neutral, but also Alliance and Horde, there was always an opportunity for them to make some sets that embodied that specifically. And I think they did a pretty decent job going for some of the different Pandaran factions related to Alliance and Horde, but factions that you would start in like the starting Pandaran Island, as well as the Chen Stormstart version as well for the actual set. Which the set by itself does look like a more or less a classic monk set with a lot of its different elements. So it is going to be not necessarily something that we haven't seen in the past, but it is a cosmetic set that you'll be able to wear as a rogue, as a warrior, as a mage. And I actually like this look, especially the Chen Stormstout version, the Pandaran neutral version, as the Alliance and Horde are going to be blue as well as red, with the Alliance logos and the Horde logos, which are pretty standard. But the Chen Stormstout version, the Wanderer version, in my particular opinion, is one of the best looking out there. If you are looking to create yourself a Pandaran to collect yet another heritage armor set to add to your collections, you can actually start working on a Pandaran right now as long as you level a character from level 1 all the way to max level. That is the only stipulation for getting some of those armor sets, and you essentially can have a character ready and prepared for it ahead of the heritage armor set. So if you want to start working on it right now, literally this moment, you can actually start working on it to this day. The next feature, and it's going to be a returning feature for 11.2.7, is the Brawlers Guild. Yes, Brawlers Guild finally makes a return. It is a feature that I, unfortunately, didn't really invest that much time into when that came around, but it is making a comeback, and it's going to be an opportunity for so many players that never got those rewards, or potentially might have skipped out on them like I did, an opportunity for you to collect some of these old but also new rewards all over again. In essence, what Brawlers Guild is, it's a series of PvE challenges. So think of things like the Mage Tower challenge for all the different classes in Legion, which is relevant to Legion Remix, how a class had to fight a boss specifically. The Brawlers Guild has a number of these bosses as a single player PvE challenge. You go into the ring, fight a boss with a variety of different mechanics, and earn rewards along the way. And the cool part is, the actual challenges themselves are done in a public area, so technically everybody gets to watch you do the challenge, whether you are winning and defeating the challenge or embarrassing yourself as you fail yet again in front of everybody. But it's always been like a very nice social area because you have the social hub where players get to watch each other do these challenges and progress through them. You do have to, you know, talk to an NPC to get in line to be able to queue up for this challenge, so that could potentially be a little interesting how they end up doing that specifically. But it's always was really cool because you would go out to a specific area for Alliance and Horde to this Brawlers Guild area, kind of like a fight club type of scene. There's one located in Orgrimmar and one located in Stormwind. The Stormwind location in particular is cool because it's where the tram is between the Ironforge and Stormwind. So it's a really interesting location. There's going to be a variety of different bosses in here with some changed and altered boss rotations, some returning encounters, but also new encounters as well, with a bunch of new challenge achievements for you to unlock, which includes additional rewards such as housing decoration for housing in Midnight, as well as recolors of some of the flying mounts that will be made available from this content specifically, as well as a different version of Bruce with a color variant instead. Bruce specifically being a reward from the original Brawlers Guild challenge, a Crocolisk with all of this Brawler's armor on the side. So not the most unique mount in the game, as we've gotten some mounts since Bruce that have very similar shape, like Basilisk and such, but Bruce is an iconic original reward. But I don't think they're bringing Bruce back specifically. I think there's going to be a coloration, a variant of Bruce that you'll be able to unlock through Brawlers Guild. So not necessarily the same rewards, but different ones. I would go and look at all the rewards right now. However, as of me recording this video, the PTR realms have not really been stable or functional for that matter, so we don't really have a full preview of exactly what the PTR has to offer. With it being the final patch before a brand new expansion, we also have the return of Turbulent Timeways, a time walking event that's juiced up to an 11, or I guess at this point juiced up to a 12 at this point, where we're essentially going to be getting multiple weeks in a row of time walking content until the next expansion of World of Warcraft, or rather until the pre-patch of Midnight specifically. They've done Turbulent Timeways a couple of times ahead of a brand new season's content, and they're continuing this tradition with the final patch of the current season, basically giving us the big version of the Turbulent Timeways, back-to-back time walking weeks with a bunch of increased experience gains to catch up any of your ults, if you're not already doing that in Legion Remix, but also an opportunity for players to catch up a bunch of gear on max level characters with a bunch of hero track items that the game is going to be tossing out at you fairly aggressively. And with the turbo boost that we will have access to on the 21st, that's going to combine together for a really nice gearing experience to get a bunch of characters prepared ahead of the next expansion. This time around, Turbulent Boost does have, or Turbulent Timeways rather, does have Shadowlands joining as a new era of the Turbulent Timeways. Previously, for the last Turbulent Timeways, we had Battle for Azeroth make a return as a time-walking era, or I guess, yeah, an expansion rather, with its own set of rewards and a vendor with 2 mounts that have unique summoning animations, a bunch of toys, and a ton of new cosmetics for you to obtain, so you'll need to be grinding out all those Time War badges ahead of time if you want to purchase all of the items as soon as they're available with the vendor. But Shadowlands is going to feature a number of different items, and one of those mounts is going to be another variation of one of the blood tusks that are available within Maldraxxus, but you'll be able to purchase it from a vendor. And another mount is going to be a variation of the Vicious Warp Stalker, which is like this Zereth Mortis futuristic looking wolf, but it's not going to have the armor like it does for PvP. It's just going to be the base model that you'll be able to get from the vendor, as well as a variety of other transmogs, pets, toys, and other goodies for Shadowlands specifically. This also includes some brand new mount rewards for the Turbulent Timeways if you are able to participate for Turbulent Timeways and get a Turbulent Timeways mastery buff a couple of weeks in a row, which I actually still have with this character. Knowledge of the Timeways, but after you stack it up 4 times, it becomes mastery. Achieving mastery for multiple weeks in a row will allow you to earn some unique mounts from Turbulent Timeways specifically. Those being bronze versions of some of the Covenant mounts from specifically the era that was Korthia. So we'll have a Aquilian, which is more of a Kyrian look. There's of course also a Fly, which is the Maldraxxus look, or Maldraxian mount. There is the Fae Dragon looking thing, which is a Night Fae mount, as well as a big Gargoyle flying mount, which is the Venthyr. So one for every single one of the main covenants of Shadowlands, but with a new bronze coat of paint on them, which will be some of the mounts that you'll be able to unlock when this event goes live specifically. Another major feature of the patch 11.2.7 is the housing early access. So if you have a pre-order of Midnight, whether it is the base edition, heroic edition, or the epic edition, any of the editions that are pre-order, you'll have access to a house in 11.2.7, which features many different aspects, like being able to own a home and being able to choose what neighborhood you want to place that home in, which will be great for players that are intertwined into guilds and communities, so you can have a neighborhood with a bunch of people that you know and hang out and play with. You'll be able to decorate the inside and the outside of your house with a fairly in-depth customization system, which has seen huge amounts of preview over for the Midnight Alpha so far. There's a lot going on into the housing system, which you'll be able to start messing around around with as patch 11.2.7, and also with the housing being brought into the game, you'll have access to a bunch of decoration that will start to drop from other content such as dungeons, raids, professions, rares, bosses, treasures, secrets, and all these other features. It'll be yet another form of customization, like players, get all the different collectibles from pets, toys, mounts, more importantly, and transmogs. The decor is going to fit into the very similar category, and then you'll be able to use that decoration inside of your home and outside of your home to arrange it in a variety of different ways in any which way that you want to. So it's going to be a ton of fun, and we'll actually be getting a bit of a preview for how the system functions, even if you don't have Midnight Alpha, over on the PTR very soon, actually probably in a couple of days as of me posting this video. Another feature that also sees a bit of an improvement is going to be the new player experience, as they're trying to find a way to streamline new players, either players that never played WoW and want to check it out for the first time, or potential returning players that may have, gotten off at one of the expansions but are looking to make a comeback from Midnight. Both types of players are meant to have new features to welcome them to the game, either back to the game or for the very first time, which means updating the Exiles Reach experience, which generally is seen by the community as one of the best features they've added. It is a very nice, good introductory experience for a player that never played World of Warcraft, teaching you how to use your class abilities, how to complete quests, what things to watch out for, as well as even let you run through a mini dungeon in order to see what group content is going to play like, while the game handholds you just enough to be able to get you acclimated to the gameplay overall. So they're revamping that completely with the streamlined story elements, and are even adding story raids in the future. So if you had that little introductory dungeon for you to be able to do, they'll even add a raid as you get through the expansion of Dragonflight, specifically to some of the main story beats of that expansion that leads eventually into War Within and then into Midnight. And that's all been revamped to make sure that your players get the story, but also are supposed to be taught some new mechanics, and some mechanics that'll be important for them when it comes to group gameplay. Returning players, however, will get a brand new experience in the Arathi instead. So you're going to be doing something completely different. You're going to be more getting a refresher on the gameplay mechanics, what things are new, what things are different. It'll be more straightforward experience from what we know so far. Just getting players on board, what interrupts are, crowd controls are, what your class can do, skywriting, quests, what changed, especially if you played in previous expansions, just to get you a refresher. And as soon as you feel like you get the hang of things, you can just bail out of the experience as soon as you want to. So that one's going to be a little bit less hand-holding. It's going to teach you all you need to know, but you already are familiar with the game, so the game is not really going to force you to run through the whole intro experience as a mandatory feature or anything like that. Now, another, well, though probably a much smaller feature of this patch is going to be new lore walking stories with Lore Walker Show. So far, they haven't really given Lore Walker any new major stories besides the original three with Xalatath, the Ethereals, and Arthas, but they're apparently adding the story The Elves of Quel'Thalas in preparation to Midnight. And so we go back to Quel'Thalas, back to Silvermoon, and the storylines of both the Blood Elves, the High Elves, and the Void Elves are going to have a bit of an overlap, as the elves do get to make a return back to the Sunwell. So there'll be a brand new storyline that you'll be able to play through with Lore Walker Show that, like I said, includes bells as well as void elves and all the different storylines for them, just to make sure players are caught up as to their significance heading into Midnight. But also it means that the lore walking experience is probably going to have some sort of a new toy for you to unlock, as every single one of them usually gives you something fun to add to your collections. So you can expect an extra item for you to be able to earn, likely through the lore walking experience. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give this video a like, as I would very much appreciate it. Also, be sure to join our Discord community, especially if you want to keep up with any new updates regarding patch 11.2.7, Midnight Alpha, Legion Remix, and much more content down the line. Also, let me know in the comments down below if any of these features for 11.2.7 got you excited, if you're planning to actually play in this update, or if you think that that might be the time for you to take a break and a breather before Midnight, because at some point it might be a good idea for you to plan on something like that if you're somebody who keeps getting burnt out of the game and don't want to make sure you get burned out before the next expansion. But with that, let me know your thoughts, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in our next one.